So as I have selected my model, which is going to be the gradient boosting regression, it is time for me to now pass on a new input of an application to see how the model is predicting. So here I have passed on some input variables: age, BMI, children, the sex, and the smoking status. And then I have called the gradient boosting regression to create a prediction on that. And the model has given the prediction, and it says that the predicted insurance cost for this application is 46,844. Okay, so my model is working fine. It is giving predictions as expected. So now it's time for me to develop the user interface. And before doing that, as a good practice, in order to improve the overall model performance, I have trained the entire data set now into the gradient boosting regression model. Earlier, I had only used 70% of the data to train all the model. However, now I am training the selected model, which is gradient boosting regression, with all the data, all 100% data. Because it is a rule of thumb in machine learning. The more the data, the better the performance of the model. Okay. And once that is done, then I've imported a library called joblib, and this is used to package and repurpose the entire code in a very seamless manner. And that's exactly what I have done here. I have saved the gradient boosting model in a dump, and then I have loaded that saved model in a new variable called the model. So now this variable model does everything for me. I could only invoke this model in order to predict any kind of input data. And after that, the very final step, it was time to build the user interface so that users can interact with this like an application. They can provide inputs, and on the basis of inputs received from the user at the backend, the model will conduct the operations, predict the value, and pass on that value to be exposed at the user interface. To do that, I have first imported a new library called Kinter. And then I have defined a function here. So what essentially it does is it provides an interface where the user can pass on the input variables such as the age, the BMI index, the number of children, whether the user is male or female, or the user or the applicant is smoker or non-smoker. So I have been saying user, but when I say user here, I mean the underwriter, because this is an internal application, and this is going to be used by the underwriters working at the insurance company. Okay. And this data is going to be about each of the applicants of new applications that are being submitted. So the user passes on all these variables, and those values get captured in 5 variables, which are defined from P1 till P5. And then at the back end, the values captured within these 5 variables are passed on to the model variable, where I have stored the entire prediction model. And then I have invoked the model to compute the prediction computation, or to compute the prediction operation, which will in turn provide the value, and that value would be passed on to the user at the front end. So to give you a quick snippet of that, how does it look like? Let me pull. So this is the very basic user interface, and this is where the values can be provided. So for instance, let me take, let's say 52 as the age. BMI index, let's say, is around 38. The number of children, let's say, is 3. And let's say the gender is male. So I'm selecting 1 here. And let's say that the person has a habit of smoking, so I'm going to select 1 as well here. Okay, so all the values are passed on, and now I'm going to hit on predict, and voila, the insurance cost has come over 48,000 for this applicant. So the underwriter will get a fair amount of idea. So this is the simplistic user interface. However, as this is an application, so I had to create arrangements for this to be hosted on a local server. So the underwriters can access this application over a website, and they can perform their prediction operations.